Now that we created a two-step animation in the previous video, we're going to go back to our original timeline. There's two ways you can do that. One, you can go to this little arrow that you can see at the top left of your timeline, or if you go over here right under projects where your timeline exists, you can just double click that and that'll take you back to your original timeline. So when we play this little piece of video here from the beginning, you'll notice that your guy has the little dance movement going on where his legs are kind of shaking from one side to the next. And that's what we wanted. So the next thing I want you to do is make sure that we have this clip working and that the length of this project is going to be 30 seconds. So let's go ahead and just mark that 30-second mark. You'll notice that at the top of your timeline here, there are numbers that kind of indicate the number of seconds that this timeline is. Over here, you'll see that this number also changes as we move this timeline left and right. So we want to bring that timeline to as close to 30 as possible. Don't worry about it being exactly 30 at this point. We can always make that adjustment later. So let's stretch out our background to that line so that we can get it to 30. At least now we have an indication as to about how long this project needs to be. You'll notice that this character that we created earlier, it's only about, it's only about 10 seconds long. So we've got 10 seconds of video going on here, or 10 seconds of animation. So here's what I want to do. I want to create another copy of this. First, actually, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and select my timeline, this character that we had going on here. Again, we're going to use our transform feature, and I want to grab him and move him over to one side of the screen because we're going to make him dance from one side to the other. So I'm going to just drag him over to one side of the screen here, and I'm going to select that clip, and I'm going to move this timeline to the very beginning. And here's how we're going to create the animation. So in this case, we're going to actually use what's called keyframes. So I'm just going to bring this down a little bit here so that I can see this section over here. When I select my clip, you'll notice over here that it has a transform section here. It says transform, and right underneath it, you'll see where it says position. It'll say rotation, it says scale, and anchor. So we're looking over here under video, and you'll see that one of these will say transform. So what we're going to do is we're going to create what's called a keyframe. And if you'll notice that over here on the far right of this, there are these diamonds that kind of show up. So if I would just click right here next to where position is, where I click on that diamond, it turns into like a nice bright orange diamond. I want to go ahead and put 4 diamonds right there, right on top of each other. That's called a keyframe. What that does is it indicates where the animation is going to begin. So now I'm going to take this timeline and bring it all the way to the end of my clip. What you'll notice is that your guy isn't showing up on your screen anymore. That's because it's right off to the end of your clip. So we're going to take the arrow key on your keyboard, the one that's pointing to the left, and just move it back 1 frame, and now you should be able to see your guy again. Once we have that, we're going to go back over here to where we worked at earlier, and I want to go ahead and create 4 more diamonds stacked up on top of each other. Right next to position, we got a diamond. Rotation, we have a diamond. Scale, and this other thing called anchor. At this point, what I want to do is I want to grab this guy and now slide him over to the other side of the screen. You're going to notice that there's a little red line that kind of shows up there, and that's the path in which this guy is going to be traveling. And so now when we play this, our guy should be moving from one side of the screen to the next. And so that's step 1 of this very basic animation. Well, it's actually step 2 because we created the 2-step animation first, and now we have a movement that goes from left to right of the screen. In our next video, we'll go ahead and modify this a little bit so that we can maybe speed things up a little so that it's not so slow. And we'll also learn to rewind it so that we can fill up this whole 30-second spot here with this animation.